stood on their porch holding a wrapped gift, my grandson's favorite superhero on the paper. The door opened just enough for Amber to look me up and down like I was a stranger selling something. Her hand gripped the doorframe, blocking my view inside. I could hear the kids laughing somewhere in the house. My heart squeezed. "Hi, sweetheart," I said, forcing a smile. "I brought something for Jake's birthday. Can I just give it to him real quick?" She stared at me with cold eyes. No warmth, no politeness, just ice. Then she shifted her weight, put one hand on her hip, and said nothing. Not a single word. She just stepped back and pushed the door closed. I heard the deadbolt click into place. That sound echoed in my chest like thunder. I stood there frozen, gift still in my hands, staring at the wood. Behind that door was my son, my grandbabies, my family, and I had just been locked out like a criminal. I walked back to my car in a daze, my legs shaking. I didn't cry yet. I was too shocked. But I knew right then that something had broken, and I had no idea how to fix it. The night before the door slam, I got a text from Amber. It came at 9:47 p.m. I remember because I was watching the news and my phone buzzed on the coffee table. I picked it up, expecting a photo of the kids or maybe a question about the weekend. Instead it said, "Marianne, we need you to respect our space. We're limiting contact for now. Please understand." I read it 3 times. My stomach dropped. Limiting contact. What did that even mean? I texted back immediately. "Is everything okay? Did I do something wrong?" No reply. I texted my son David. "Honey, can you call me?" I got a strange message from Amber. He read it. The little check marks turned blue. But he didn't respond either. I sat there staring at my phone for 2 hours waiting. My mind raced through every recent interaction, every conversation, every moment I'd spent with them. What had I done? I babysat the kids every week. I brought meals when Amber was tired. I never judged, never criticized. But that text felt final, like a door closing. And my son's silence. That hurt even more than Amber's cold words. Before we continue, I would like to know where you're watching from in the comment section. Also hit the subscribe button and share this video, as this will help this video to travel far so others can learn also. My name is Marianne and I am 58 years old. I'm a widow. I raised my son, David, by myself after his father died when he was just 11. I worked 2 jobs to keep us afloat. I drove him to every baseball game, helped with every school project, and cheered louder than anyone when he graduated college. I was so proud when he met Amber. She was confident, organized, put together. I thought she'd be good for him. And when they had kids, Jake and Lily, I felt like my heart might burst. Being a grandmother was everything I dreamed of. I babysat every Thursday so Amber could have her me time. I never complained. I loved those evenings with my grandkids. We'd bake cookies, watch cartoons, build pillow forts. They called me Mimi, and it was the sweetest sound in the world. But then things shifted. Started small. Amber would forget to invite me to birthday parties. She'd post photos on social media and I'd find out after the fact. When I asked her about it, she'd smile sweetly and say, "Oh, it was just immediate family." I was immediate family. But I bit my tongue. I didn't want to cause problems. I told myself I was overreacting. I just wanted peace. I wanted to be part of their lives without drama. A few months before the door slam, I noticed something strange on Amber's Instagram. She posted a photo of Lily wearing a frilly pink dress, posing like a little model. The caption said, "My sweet Ellie Rose loves her new outfit." Ellie Rose. That wasn't my granddaughter's name. Her name was Lillian. I scrolled further and saw more posts. Ellie Rose and her big brother Jackson. Jackson. His name was Jake. Felt uneasy. Why was she changing their names online? Called David. "Hey honey, I saw Amber's Instagram. Why is she calling the kids different names?" He sighed. "Mom, it's for privacy. A lot of parents do it online." "But she's posting their faces," I said. "If it's about privacy, why post them at all?" He got defensive. She's just being creative, Mom. It's not a big deal. But it felt like a big deal to me. Those kids were being turned into little dolls for strangers to admire. And when I gently mentioned it to Amber at Sunday dinner, she smiled that tight, fake smile. The kind that doesn't reach your eyes. I appreciate your concern, Marianne, she said. But I think I know what's best for my children. Her children. Not our grandchildren. Just hers. After that text, the silence from my son was the worst part. I didn't hear from him for 2 weeks. Not a call. Not a message. Nothing. I'd raised him to be strong, to stand up for what was right. But now, he was silent. I sent him one message. Just one. David, are you okay? I'm worried about you. I saw the read receipt. He opened it. But no reply came. That silence told me everything. Amber had him under her control. Either he was too afraid to go against her, or he actually believed whatever she'd said about me. Either way, my son, the boy I gave everything to, wasn't brave enough to call his own mother. I sat in my living room that night, staring at old photos of him as a kid. His gap-toothed smile. His scraped knees. The way he used to hug me so tight after his dad's funeral and whisper, "We'll be okay, Mom." Now he couldn't even text me back. I didn't cry. Not yet. I just sat there feeling hollow. But something else started growing inside me. Not anger. Not bitterness. Something colder. Something sharper. Determination. I didn't fight back right away. Thought about it. I thought about showing up at their door, demanding answers, making a scene. But that's not who I am. And I knew Amber would use any emotional outburst against me. So instead I started organizing. I opened my laptop and created a folder. I labeled it, "For when he wakes up." Inside I started gathering evidence. Every text Amber had sent me where she was passive-aggressive or dismissive. Every time she forgot to include me in family plans. Every lie she told David about me. I took screenshots. I printed emails. Saved receipts. I was calm. I was methodical. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to scream. I was going to wait. And when the time was right, I'd show my son the truth. People believe what they see, not what they're told. I learned that a long time ago. So I built my case. Quietly. Carefully. With no emotion. Just facts. Screenshots. Proof. Amber thought she'd won. She thought cutting me off would be the end of it. But she underestimated me. I wasn't going anywhere. I was just getting started. One afternoon, my neighbor Carol mentioned that Jake and Lily were in a preschool play. "Oh, it's so cute," she said. "All the kids are dressed as farm animals. Are you going?" My heart sank. I didn't know about it. She looked confused. "Really? It's this Friday at 2. I immediately called the preschool. The receptionist was polite but firm. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but you're not on the approved visitor list." "I'm their grandmother," I said. "I understand, but the mother requested that only immediate family attend. She also noted that you weren't to be contacted about school events." Felt sick. Amber had gone to the school and blocked me. She'd labeled me as someone dangerous. Someone to be kept away from my own grandchildren. I asked for a copy of the request. The receptionist hesitated but eventually forwarded me the email. In it, Amber described me as a potential disruption, and asked that I be excluded from all events. I saved that email, printed it, added it to my folder. Amber was building a narrative. She was painting me as unstable, invasive, problematic. And she was doing it quietly, behind my back, where I couldn't defend myself. But I wasn't going to let her rewrite history. Not without a fight. Then Amber made a mistake. Big one. I got a text from her one morning. It said, "Just told the witch we're out of town this weekend. She bought it. Talk later." My heart stopped. That message wasn't meant for me. She'd sent it to the wrong person. She thought she was texting her friend, but she'd accidentally sent it to me instead. The witch. That's what she called me. And she'd lied to me about being out of town so I wouldn't try to see the kids during Jake's preschool play. I stared at that message for a long time. And something inside me shifted. I stopped feeling hurt. I stopped feeling sad. Got angry. Not loud, messy anger. Cold, focused anger. I took a screenshot of that text. I didn't reply. I didn't confront her. I just saved it and added it to my folder. That was the day I stopped crying. That was the day I started planning. Amber thought she was clever. She thought she had all the power. But she just handed me the proof I needed. She'd shown me exactly who she was. And I wasn't going to forget it. I started sending birthday cards to the kids. But I didn't put my return address on them. I knew Amber would throw them away, but I also knew my son might see them first. Inside each card, I wrote something only David would recognize. A phrase his father used to say when he tucked him in at night. "You're braver than you think, kiddo." His dad used to whisper that to him after nightmares, after bad days, after losses. It was their thing. And I knew David would remember. Amber wouldn't understand it. To her it would just be a random phrase. But to my son, it would be a message. Reminder. I sent cards every few weeks. I never signed them. I just wrote that phrase and drew a little heart. I didn't know if he was reading them. I didn't know if Amber was intercepting them. But I had to try. I had to let him know I was still here. Still fighting for him. Still believing in the boy I raised. Because somewhere under Amber's control, my son was still in there. And I wasn't giving up on him. Then one afternoon my phone rang. It was David. My hands shook as I answered. "Hello. Hey, Mom." His voice was quiet. Tired. "Hi, sweetheart," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. There was a long pause. Then he said, Did you send a card? For Jake's birthday?" "Yes," I said simply. "I did." Another pause. I heard him breathe. "Thanks." That was it. Just thanks. But I could hear something in his voice. Something strained. Like he wanted to say more but couldn't. "David, are you okay?" Asked gently. "Yeah, I'm fine. I gotta go, Mom." And he hung up. I sat there holding the phone, my chest tight. He sounded exhausted. Like someone who wasn't allowed to say what they really felt. Like someone trapped. But he'd called. And he'd acknowledged the card. That meant he was reading them. That meant the message was getting through. It wasn't much. But it was something. It was a crack. And cracks could widen. A few weeks later, Amber accused me of trespassing. She sent me a nasty text. "I have you on camera sneaking onto our property. Stay away or I'll call the police." I was furious. I hadn't snuck anywhere. I'd dropped off a stuffed toy on their porch, a little teddy bear for Lily. I'd walked up, set it down and left. That was it. But Amber twisted it into something sinister. Luckily I'd thought ahead. I knew their doorbell had a camera. So before I even went to their house, I made sure I did everything in plain view. I walked calmly up the steps. I placed the toy gently on the mat. I waved at the camera. And I walked away. I requested the footage from their security company. I'd helped them set it up a year ago and still had access to the account. I downloaded the clip and saved it. The footage showed exactly what happened. No sneaking. No trespassing. Just a grandmother leaving a gift. I didn't respond to Amber's text. I just saved it. Added it to my folder. Let her think she'd intimidated me. But I had proof. And when the time came, I'd use it. My folder was growing. I had everything organized by date. Every lie. Every manipulation. Every cruel moment. I labeled each incident clearly. No emotion. Just facts. There were the text messages where Amber called me controlling for suggesting the kids shouldn't have iPads at dinner. The emails where she excluded me from holidays. The school note banning me from events. The doorbell footage. The accidental text calling me a witch. I printed it all. I put it in a 3-ring binder with tabs and highlighted sections. I made copies and stored them in different places. My house, a safety deposit box, a trusted friend's home. I wasn't taking chances. This wasn't about revenge. This was about truth. Because I knew one day my son would need to see this. He'd need proof that I wasn't the villain Amber painted me as. He'd need to know that I never gave up on him, even when he gave up on me. So I built my case. Quietly, carefully, methodically. And I waited. Amber tried another power move. She went to our church and asked the pastor to bar me from the Sunday school program where Jake and Lily sometimes attended. Pastor called me confused. "Marianne," Amber said, "you've been unstable. She's worried about the children's safety." My heart pounded, but I kept my voice calm. "Pastor Jim, I've never raised my voice to those kids. I've never done anything to harm them. Would you like to see proof?" I sent him the doorbell footage. Text messages. Timeline of events. He called me back an hour later. "I'm so sorry, Marianne. Had no idea. You're welcome here anytime." The next Sunday, Amber didn't show up to church. And she stopped bringing the kids altogether. She knew I was watching. She knew I had evidence. And she was starting to realize that her lies had limits. But she wasn't done yet. And neither was I. I knew David would eventually be home alone. Amber had a work trip coming up. She'd posted about it on Instagram weeks in advance. So I planned carefully. I mailed the binder to him. Not to both of them. Just to him. I used a fake return name. The nickname his father used to call him. Champ. I knew he'd recognize it. I knew he'd open it. Inside the binder was everything. Every text. Every email. Every lie. The footage. Timeline. The proof. I didn't include a letter. I didn't try to explain or defend myself. I just let the evidence speak. I mailed it on a Monday. It would arrive Thursday, the day after Amber left for her trip. I didn't sleep that night. I kept imagining him opening it, reading it, seeing the truth. I didn't know if he'd believe it. I didn't know if he'd call me. But I had to try. This was my last shot. If he ignored it, if he sided with Amber anyway, then I'd have to accept that I'd lost him. But I had to give him the chance to see the truth. 3 days later, my phone rang. It was David. "Mom," he whispered. His voice was shaking. "David," I said, gripping the phone. "I didn't know." He sounded broken. "Mom, I didn't know any of this." I stayed quiet. I let him talk. "She told me you were crazy. She said you were obsessed with the kids. She said you showed up uninvited all the time. She made it sound like you were dangerous." Tears streamed down my face, but I didn't interrupt. "I saw the texts," he continued. "The footage. The email to the school. Mom, she lied. About everything." "I know, sweetheart," I said softly. He started crying. "I'm so sorry. I should have called you. I should have asked. I believed her." "It's okay," I said, even though it wasn't. "I'm just glad you know now." We stayed on the phone for an hour. He asked questions. I answered honestly. And for the first time in months, I felt like I had my son back. David confronted Amber the night she got home from her trip. I wasn't there, but he told me everything later. He sat her down and showed her the binder. He asked her to explain. She tried to laugh it off at first, saying I was twisting things. But when he kept pressing, she got defensive. "You're supposed to protect me," she yelled. "Not take her side." "I'm not taking sides," he said. "I'm asking for the truth." She accused him of betraying her. She said I was manipulating him, that I'd always been jealous of her. She cried. She screamed. She threatened to leave and take the kids. But David didn't back down. For the first time in years, he stood his ground. And that's when he started documenting her behavior too. He kept notes of her outbursts. He recorded conversations. He saved her threatening texts. Because he finally saw what I'd seen all along. The manipulation. The control. The lies. And he wasn't going to let it continue. Amber tried to control the narrative. She sent a mass email to our entire family, painting me as vindictive and cruel. She said I was trying to destroy her marriage, that I was obsessed with controlling their lives. What she didn't know was that David had BCC'd me on the email. And I saw everything. I waited a day. Then I replied to everyone calmly and factually. I attached key documents from the binder, redacted for privacy but clear enough to show the truth. I didn't argue. I didn't get emotional. I just said, I understand Amber is upset. Here is the documented timeline of events. I'll let you draw your own conclusions. Within hours, family members started reaching out to me privately, apologizing, asking questions, expressing shock. Amber's lies were unraveling, and she had no one to blame but herself. Then Amber's own mother called me. "Marianne, I'm so sorry," she said, her voice thick with guilt. "We thought you were the problem. Amber told us you were controlling and overbearing. I had no idea she was lying. She told me that Amber had been playing both sides, telling her parents that I was toxic, telling my family that she was the victim. Then she sent me a screenshot. It was a text from Amber to a friend. In it, Amber called me a placeholder grandma, and joked about how easy it was to cut me out. I saved that screenshot, added it to my records. Even Amber's own mother was starting to see the truth, and that truth was damning. Amber's next move was desperate. She filed for a protective order, claiming I was harassing her and the kids. Her lawyer sent me a notice. I immediately contacted my own attorney and handed over my entire file. My lawyer reviewed everything and smiled. "She doesn't have a case. You've never threatened her. You've never shown up uninvited. You've been nothing but respectful." When Amber's lawyer saw my documentation, he dropped the case. He told her she had no grounds and that pursuing it would only hurt her in a potential custody battle. Amber was furious, but there was nothing she could do. My silence had been my weapon. My documentation had been my shield. And now the truth was protecting me. David asked Amber for space. He moved into his friend Matt's guest house, taking some of his things with him. Amber panicked. She begged. She cried. She promised to change. But David didn't budge. "I need to rethink everything," he told her. "I don't know who you are anymore." He took the binder with him. He read through it again and again, seeing the patterns he'd missed before. Amber started calling him obsessively, texting him hundreds of times a day, showing up at Matt's house unannounced. The more he pulled away, the more desperate she became. And the more desperate she became, the more controlling and unhinged she acted. David started documenting that too. David met with a family lawyer to discuss his options. He brought my binder and his own notes. The lawyer was impressed. "Your mother's documentation is surgical," she said. "And combined with your recent records, you have a strong case for shared custody." David told Amber he wanted to formalize a custody arrangement. She laughed in his face. "You'll never get the kids," she said. "I'll tell everyone you're unstable, that your mother poisoned you against me." But when David's lawyer sent her a formal request with all the documentation attached, Amber went quiet. She realized she'd lost control. And without control, she had nothing. Amber's mask finally slipped at a family barbecue. David's cousin was hosting, and everyone was there. My side of the family, Amber's side, mutual friends. David calmly asked Amber if they could talk privately about the custody arrangement. She snapped. In front of everyone, she screamed at him, called him weak, called me a parasite, said I'd ruined everything. People stared. Someone pulled out their phone and recorded it. David just stood there, calm and quiet, while she raged. And everyone saw the truth. The real Amber. The one I'd been dealing with all along. The video spread through the family within hours. And any sympathy she had left evaporated. 2 weeks later, David filed for divorce. The petition cited emotional manipulation, coercive control, and parental alienation. It requested shared custody with me, listed as a stable support figure in the children's lives. Amber tried to fight it, but her lawyer advised her to settle. "You don't want this going to trial," he said. "The judge will see the documentation." The custody agreement was finalized quickly. David got equal time with the kids. And I was explicitly included as an approved caregiver and visitor. Amber had no choice but to agree. The first weekend David had custody, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find Jake and Lily standing there, holding hands. David stood behind them, tears in his eyes. "They asked to see you, Mom," he said. I dropped to my knees and hugged them so tight. They smelled like baby shampoo and sunshine. Lily whispered, "We missed you, Mimi." Cried. Not sad tears. Happy ones. Relief. Release. David mouthed the words. "I'm sorry." He nodded. "We're okay now." Amber lost everything because she underestimated me. Her need for control cost her her marriage, her reputation, and her carefully crafted lies. I never raised my voice. Never fought dirty. I just let the truth speak for itself. And in the end, the truth was louder than any lie she could tell. Now every Sunday I bake cookies with Jake and Lily. We build forts and watch cartoons. And when I tuck them in, I whisper the same words their grandfather once said. "You're braver than you think, kiddo. And you're safe now." David is healing. The kids are happy. And I finally have my family back. Amber tried to erase me. But I wasn't going anywhere. Because love doesn't disappear just because someone tries to lock it out. Wait. Fight. And it wins.